All right, so this is session 1 of 2 of Gods of the Fall. I'm a fan of Godbound, as is Maria, and I like Exalted, and I like any of these kind of high fantasy, over-the-top games. So Gods of the Fall is a fantasy setting from Cypher system, which I sometimes call by a different name, but it is Cypher system. I sometimes call it Catalyst, and I don't know why. But anyway, so Cypher system from Monty Cook. It's a D20 players roll system, has some very basic mechanics, and then a lot of bells and whistles, a lot of chrome on top of that. But at heart, there's a very basic set of mechanics. It is the game that powers Numenera and the Strange. And this is my first try at it. So all the games I'm running this month use Cypher. And I'm going to see how it goes. So I hope my players will bear with me. If they do know Cypher a little bit, they may cringe. Or you at home may go, oh, geez, and do that. So I'm going to apologize in advance. We're going to be working for the quick start that Monty Cook has out. And I've put the pre-gen characters out for the players. They've looked through those. There are 6 pre-gens from that. I'm going to have them introduce those in just a second. We're going to talk about that before we roll into the game. I want to talk, though, for all of us. This is a game about new gods, gods that are being reborn, shards of gods that are fighting to retake their mantle. And this is a high fantasy, big cinematic action, widescreen adventure. So that's how I picture it. We'll see if the game itself does that. I hope it does. We'll play that out. The world itself that this Gods Fall takes, the Gods of the Fall takes place in, is kind of dark and gritty, with the players really as the PCs as lights in that. People who are fighting back against that darkness and against that awfulness. I'll talk about why that is that way in just a second. It is a fallen world. It is dark. They have a lot of elements of slavery and some other content in here. I don't particularly want to lean into that, but you may see me reference it. They want to have everything be awful, and it is in a lot of places. So just be aware that that's sort of what is going on. The background. This is for the players as much as anything else. I'm going to talk about that, and then I'll talk about our safety tools. So this is a world, fantasy world, multi-generational. There have been multiple gods and pantheons and all of that big, ancient, epic, history going back, centuries. 42 years ago, the celestial realm, which is called Elentar, it may not be called that, but that's how I'm going to pronounce it. Elentar fell, and it crashed down onto the world itself. It actually destroyed an entire kingdom, the kingdom Cavazol. It shook the world. It killed all the gods. It destroyed great swaths of the world. It changed the very nature of reality. It essentially destroyed the gates of soul rest, which is the afterlife, and the world became awful after that. All the gods are dead. It has been 42 years since that, and in recent times, new figures have begun to emerge, the player characters who have something of the divine spark. Exactly how that's happened, why that's happening is uncertain. There are a set of prophecies, the Book of Fate, written by a god of destiny from before the fall, that talk about the challenges that will face these gods, these steps, this path that they have to go through in order to gain their divinity and reprove themselves. So there's a path that they have to go through. A lot of people don't believe in them. A lot of people don't believe in these divinities. More importantly, there are organized forces that actively work against these new gods. In particular, the order of reconciliators. The reconciliators are agents that attempt to suppress all divine writing, all evidence of new divinity, all old religions, They are a powerful force across the world, supported by a number of peoples, and they are certainly the forces that are hunting the player characters. Lots of things have changed about this world. A new moon appeared, and this moon actually moves to blot the sun out from a whole section of the land. And that area is called the Nightland. So the greater portion of the inhabited world is under this perpetual shadow created by the moon known as Nod. And so we've got these kingdoms darkness, and people use magic to kind of light their crops and let things grow. And the Nightland is a horrible place. It is a wretched hive of scum and villainy, with a capital S and a capital V. These are where the slavers appear. It's where everything happens. It is overseen by a black dragon known as Nulumiriel, and that's the only time I'm going to say that, okay? Because I'm not going to try and repeat that. There are a lot of high fantasy names in this game. Anyway, there's this black dragon who's in charge, and oversees this and controls things and sponsors these reconciliators. In particular, there is the city-state of Corso, probably the largest city-state in the Nightlands. We're going to be starting out there. And it is sort of the big capital place. To the east, there's a whole area where you just don't go to because it's all storms and crazy magic. That's actually where the Celestial Realm fell. So there's this whole wild swath of that. There are areas that borders that called the Runescape. There are these cerulean mountains that kind of got knocked into the air that are floating around. There's the sort of verge wilderness of sort of crazed wilds. And of course, there's the realm of the soul rest. So there's all this kind of think big, capital letter, high fantasy tropes. Everything is big. As I mentioned, atheism is the rule of the day. People are hopeless. They don't believe in the gods anymore. They are scarred by the events they've seen. A lot of people have been changed mentally and physically by what has occurred. The city of Corso that we begin in is the sort of big imperial city, and when we get there, I'll describe what that looks like. Of course, with all this big high fantasy awfulness, I just want to remind you, I've played with all three of you before, so you recognize the X card. If we hit anything in terms of tone, content, subject matter that you're uncomfortable with, you can either do the X card in the chat or do the physical sign for that. We'll edit past it. I may ask you for some clarification to see exactly where we're editing past. And I use that because it's the easiest of the safety tools, especially when we just have 2.5 hours to play. We are playing till about 10:30 Eastern time, and we will take a break at the midpoint. So with all of that lecture in place, in mind, each of you have chosen one of these fallen gods, these characters, these divine sparks. So what I want to go through is talk to you and have you tell me how you picture them, where you picture they're from. I'm going to ask some leading questions. We'll do that, and then we'll talk about relationships, with the assumption that all three of you have worked together, have known each other, and we'll come to that. So I'm going to work from left to right. So I'm going to start with Sheth. Brian, tell us about who Sheth is, what he does, and how you're picturing them.
Sheth is an inquisitive shaper. He has an actual halo of fire around his head, which he used to be self-conscious about, but now he embraces it. And he is the god of fire, or he is a god of fire, I guess, depending on your point of view. His focus is much more on learning, being curious, the intellect, than it is on might and speed. I am good at, figuring new things out, remembering lore, perhaps, but I can still fight. I do have, access to fire, so fire good.
Yes.
Yeah. And let's Let's see, what else can I tell you about him? He does have 3 ciphers, but they don't mean much to me right now, so I'll have to rely on you to.
So yeah, let's take a quick look at those. So far sight essentially allows you to see at a distance.
Okay.
Meditation aid, I think, is a recovery item, and heat attack is an additional, essentially one-shot fire attack.
Excellent. Okay, cool.
And among the powers that you have, one of the things you'll see on your power chart is I've got in the top left-hand corner, it says Divine Shifts. Divine Shifts is a mechanism that Cypher uses to represent the gods in this. Essentially, Divine Shifts are a set of power that it's already kind of worked in, that allow you to be really cool at something. So you get 3 Divine Shifts that always reduce the difficulty of any action. So you've got 3 Divine Shifts to your Hurl Flame. So it does a bunch more damage, and any attack you do is always reduced by 3 difficulty. So that is a badass attack.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you.
Tell me, what else amongst the powers that Sheth has stood out for you?
Geography and history tasks, learning new things. I'm not sure what special means for type on that. I'm trained in magic practice, magical artifacts, geography, and history tasks, but I'm special on learning new things.
Oh, so what that is if you have something that's trained, if that skill applies, you always reduce the difficulty by 1. Special means you reduce it by 2.
Okay, great. I am much less good at noticing danger and initiative actions. In fact, I'm penalized with an inability on both of those.
Yeah, it means the difficulty is increased by 1 for all of those things for you.
Right.
And let's see, and you've got Scan and Shroud of Flame and Flash. So you've got a lot of fire powers here. That's under the tab that you have for your abilities.
Oh, yes, indeed I do.
Yes.
I am more powerful than you guys could possibly imagine.
I just want to make sure that you see that.
Thank you.
So ability to scan, to generate flame around yourself, to create a big blast area effect. Cool. Everyone has this manifest nimbus ability to essentially see divine powers and manifest it. And you've got some other cool stuff. Far Step is kind of fun. A lot of these cost intellect points from your intellect pool. So right. It's a resource there. What does Sheth look like?
I sort of imagine Sheth as looking sort of like being from the subcontinent of India.
Okay.
So he is probably medium height, darker skin, fine features, very sort of high energy and interested in things. But with a downside that he might put his hand into a box before he knows what's in it.
Do you imagine that he manifested his powers at an early age, or has this been a more recent thing?
I think it's been a more recent thing. Like maybe he was always curious and he's always been book smart. But the sudden halo of fire and ability to manipulate heat and fire is relatively new.
What was the reaction of his village or town when this went down?
Initially, everybody was very frightened. And then they immediately set up a little sort of shrine, and I couldn't live my life at all. And so deep in the night, I left.
Oh, interesting. So you obviously you have to conceal that halo of fire when you're out in amongst these places, because people will recognize it as divine things. You have to keep that concealed. Do you imagine that you have to turn it on and have it active, or do you imagine to keep it concealed, you have to be kind of consciously keeping it down?
Um, hmm. I think I have to consciously keep it down.
Okay.
It doesn't require a lot of thought, but if I get very stressed or I'm completely distracted, boom, Halo.
That sounds good. I like that. Um, Also, it mentions both on your sheet that you know some stuff about magic, and here you have some skill, knowledge of magic practice and magical artifacts, being able to identify them. Where does that come from? What in your back are we being trained as a mage, or does your family have some skill in that? How did that come around, or is that more recent?
Yeah, no, there were a couple of elders in my village that were knowledgeable about magic, and I had some lore, and had been, teaching me since I was a kid, since I had some facility for it and some interest.
If you were going to define the virtue of that you're picturing for the god of fire, what the like, if there's a central virtue or central ideal for what you see as a sort of the point and purpose of fire and divinity, the divine fire, what would that be?
Um, uh, Change. So,
Interesting.
it should not be necessarily feared. It can be both good and bad.
All right. Awesome. I like that very much.
Cool.
I am going to come now to the next on my sheet, and that is Varus. Stephen, please tell us about Varus.
Yes. Varus is a perceptive savior who finds the flaws in all things and is the god of secrets. And he, I think at a young age, a disaster happened to his village and to his family. I think that his parents were slain. There was some kind of invading force. Where I know more about the setting, we can talk about that if we need to. But some kind of invading force killed most of the adults. And I think I have a sibling, probably a sister, that was taken away, but I was left. And that started me down a route of protection. Um, I knew that if I could hide, if I could convince people of certain things, that would save me. And that is where my powers manifested, my godhood manifested. I have skills in deception and to see through deception to the actual truth. Um, and most of my abilities are about manipulating memories and terrifying people and that kind of stuff.
Do you imagine that the sort of manifestation of this sort of power of secrets and seeing through things, was that subtle and over time, or was there a point at which it just kind of the switch flipped for you?
No, I think it was very subtle. I think that it started out as more social skills that he learned after his family was taken and killed. He learned to talk his way out of things, and then that became more and more the ability to pull the Jedi mind trick and erase people's memories or tell them what to do, until it got to the point where it is now.
And tell us about Varus's special abilities.
Yeah, so he has the ability to see through lies from other people. He has a terrifying presence where he can scare certain creatures of level 3 or lower, um, terrify them. He can, uh, let's see, steal their name, which I think pauses people, kind of stuns them. He can erase their memory. Um, he can uh, allow people to see in the dark. He can find the flaw in an opponent to know exactly where to hit. Um, let's see. Perfect submission is you know exactly where to grab to keep a person's attention. So as long as you grab them or prod them, they can take no physical actions. And reckoning is if you attack an opponent who you've observed in combat. The difficulty of your next attack is reduced by a step. Yeah.
Okay.
So I think his placement, his interaction with Sheth and Dalaris is, he's not very strong. He's very manipulative. And I think the two of them are his tools to get what he wants.
And he does, yeah. It's an interesting thing because when you first look at this character, he is very weak on the combat side, but then he has some very interesting powers to back that up. What does Varus look like?
I envision him as a little bit sickly, a little bit nondescript, because he values the ability to slip in and out of places. I think that he has a face and clothing that whenever you go, you wouldn't really notice him. He doesn't really stand out. Dark hair, a little bit pale of face. Whenever you can see him a little bit closer, you see he likely never smiles. Has kind of a dour expression.
How does he picture? I mean, you're the god of secrets, which is manifested as kind of the god of lies and misdirection here. What do you picture as sort of the purpose of that god, of that deity in the sort of whole pantheon of things?
The more information that you can gather, the more secrets you have, the more power you have, the better off you are at surviving. So, his followers at the point where that happens would be seeing that information is a way for them to survive longer in a dark and nasty world.
Awesome. That makes sense to me. All right. Thank you very much, Varus. And finally, we have Daleras. Maria, please tell us about Daleras.
Daleras is a big, tough guy. He is a tough champion who masters weaponry and is the god of war. And I picture him as being just that. And in more detail, I guess to contrast the rest of them, I will go to my go-to and make him an anime protagonist, because why not?
That makes sense.
All right. Any questions? Because
yeah. Tell me what Dalaris looks like.
Well, he has a great sword, which again, Buster sword, pretty much. Apart from that, you don't notice much of him. Like, he's surprisingly short for a warrior, and he is also like, the clothes aren't like shining or anything. It's just random clothes.
The plate armor that you're wearing, do you mention that's kind of piecemeal, or is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's look at your powers, and then I'm going to have some questions about how this has all came around. Tell us about Daleras' powers.
They are all combat powers, and it's just really, I fight good. That's it.
It really is that. That is, yeah, yep.
That's literally
not exaggerating. I thought this might be your go-to character, and it is. It does have some nice stuff to go with that. How did this manifest? I mean, at a young age, where you're already fighting, or is this something that arose? How did that come about in terms of becoming this divine spark of war?
Here's the thing, and let me know if you disagree, but
sure.
I want it to be very anime and JRPG, and so I want him to not remember why he is a god of war or any of that.
Perfect. So something happened, but he can't remember exactly what occurred. In the anime of the JRPG, there's always those like 3-shot flashes of memories
Yes.
that we don't know what they mean. What are the 3-shot memories that we got for Dalaris?
Someone getting cut down, maybe their love interest, most likely their love interest getting cut down. Then you get like the ground giving way and me falling, and then waking up in a random village.
Perfect. So, in terms of being the god of war, what do you see as the purpose of that? What's the purpose of the god of war in and amongst the big pantheon?
I picture him as being more of righteous war than like crazy war, like more Athena than Ares.
Okay.
So it basically fight for what you believe in and all that stuff.
Why does he have that dream dust?
Oh, the dream dust?
Yeah.
I don't know, mate. I think it's that I don't want to remember something in my dreams. I'm not sure. I haven't taken it in a while.
Okay. So maybe when did you think you've acquired it since waking up, or did you wake up and you had it on you? Okay, acquired it since then.
Yeah, I have it because I don't want to remember. I keep having nightmares, so I don't want to nightmare. So it eliminates dreams.
So obviously you have a crossbow, but obviously it doesn't look like a normal crossbow because that's the way these things work. What does it look like?
Wait, you have to ask about the crossbow and not the greatsword?
Oh, you already described the Buster Sword to me. I have that. I have a very strong image of that.
All right. Apart from it being a freaking Buster Sword, it is red and very flashy, and it has like sharp edges and ridges, like serrated edges. That's what I was thinking.
All right. And is the crossbow of the same type, or is the crossbow built into the sword, or is the crossbow just something ordinary?
The crossbow is ordinary.
Okay. So it's a thing you use to just kind of casually shoot someone down rather than actually having to take the energy to draw the blade out.
Or something far away, because I will resort to my blade when I can. It's just when something's far away, I will use my crossbow.
Awesome. All right. We will talk about system stuff when we actually get to those system things. Let me start with Brian. For Sheth, let me ask you this. Get my little relationship cards here. You find something familiar about Dalaris. You're not sure what it is, but what echoes for you when you look at Dalaris? What comes to your mind?
I think I remember that. I think I remember an earthquake, and I associate that with Dalaris.
Okay. And Varus, what is the thing that you find the oddest habit that Sheth has? Something that kind of bugs you maybe a little bit.
I think Sheth has a pet, like a stray or something like that off of the street, and I think that's a weakness.
Is that cool with you, Sheth?
Yeah, can it be a stray mongoose?
Yes.
All right.
What is your stray mongoose's name?
Oh my God, this could require. We might need to take a break. Let's see. Let's call my my stray mongoose that I have taken in, which I can't even I can't even believe somebody would not find this thing endearing and wonderful. But let's call it King.
Okay. That sounds good to me. Delruss, Forrest has an odd way of handling things to your mind, right? But what is it that you kind of admire about it?
That's actually hard. That's actually a hard question. I guess it's the fact that no one actually dies when he does things. Because as much as I am the god of war, I don't really like killing as much as just fighting.
So you appreciate the end results, but maybe the way he's doing it seems a little hanky to you.
Yeah.
Okay. Swing back to Sheth. Someone approached you to ask you to betray Varus at some point in the recent past. What made you maybe think about it for more than a minute?
Well, I thought to myself, what would Varus do? And I thought he might be willing to betray someone, which is interesting. And I was curious about exploring that line of thought. But ultimately, I decided, Varus is my friend, and I will not betray him.
I like that. I like that very much. Varus, you bailed Dalaris out of a jam. But you haven't told him what happened or why. What was the deal with that?
So I think what this was Dalaris was in a big fight with a number of extraordinarily large creatures. And he was holding his own for some time, but one got behind him. And after watching him combat these creatures, I stepped in and was able to I knew its weakness, so I was able to hold it at bay long enough for him to finish what he was doing and then turn back. And then he slew the creature, of course. Once it was back to one-on-one, it was no problem. And had no idea that there had been this pause.
I like that. Delruss, before you met Sheth, before you all joined together, you had heard some rumors about him. What were those? And did the reality match up to that, or was it very different?
Well, here's the thing. I heard that Chef is a how do I put it? I heard that he is a odd person. Which is fine because even though it matched up, I like him a lot, so
that works. So you three, there's a fourth member of your team potentially if Tejas joins us next time. But for the moment, the three of you are in the city-state of Corso. This is in the Nightlands. This is a city of 500,000 people. It's an old city. It is a city decorated with thousands of statues, old statues, some newer ones, all kind of carved out of black basalt, scattered all over the city. It's just a primary feature. but people have stopped like caring about them. So things get built up, built onto statues or built up onto them, or but they're everywhere. It's also a city that, because of the way that they've wanted to sort of isolate things, it's actually got tiers to it. So there are like great sections that are sort of elevated, suspended with great bridges and connected building and raised buildings. So there's almost this sort of upper level of the city that great, markets and the merchants and the nobles. And then down below is the undercity, where literally everything kind of falls down into the sort of undercity, in some places that's 100 feet drop. In some places it's kind of crushing down on the undercity. And this is, as I said, a wretched hive of scum and villainy. That probably the biggest tower in the city is the Tower of the Reconciliators. There are people marked with those marks across the city that go through. They're searching for people called the adherents, any of them who are still faithful to things. It is a city where the Dragon Lord hands out indulgences, and people have these indulgences, and they can do what they want if they bear these marks. That's how slavers gather people up. It's how awful things happen. So it is not a good place. Tell me something else we don't know about Corso, Chef. What's another feature of Corso?
Food is constantly scarce, or at least it's scarce, for the lower levels.
That makes sense. That they any of those croplands have to be grown through sort of magical support, and these sort of micro magical suns to grow them, and that is a constant source. People go out into the Sea of Shadows to fish, but it's not great, and I imagine it's gotten tighter and tighter every year. What's a primary food that people do eat?
The primary food that people eat are a kind of large white mushroom.
Mm. One of those mushrooms with like no taste, just kind of.
Yeah, exactly.
Just tastes soft. Okay. So that's fair. So we've got that as a primary thing. Varus, what's another detail, another fixture of this city-state of Corso?
The wind is constantly blowing in
Ooh.
Corso. At times this is just a gentle breeze, but at times it's a gale and actually knocks down some of the supports in the lower levels, and it varies from time to time. And it's referred to as the dragon's wind. The belief, at least in the Undertown, is that this is the dragon pumping his wings and forcing the air through the city.
And I imagine that given the different buildings and the pressure that changes along, there's probably different levels of white noise that are happening.
And you'll constantly see trash and stuff specifically kind of floating through, almost like a snowstorm at times.
Oh, nice. And finally, Dalaris, what is one more detail about this city, this darkened city-state of Corso?
The people in the upper levels are dressed garishly. Like, and then the lower levels is less so.
So are there like those rules like they used to have, the sumptuary laws, I think they were, where people of a certain class actually literally couldn't wear certain colors or certain cloth or things like that?
Yeah, sure. Let's go with that.
Okay. So we've got that sort of the darkness getting pushed down even further. What's the primary color of the dragon? What's the primary garish color that we, when we see one of the dragon's agents, we know it's them?
Purple.
Purple. So, city of Corso. You have traveled here. This is not a place necessarily you want to come, but you have some reasons for coming here. Essentially, you have, in your travels before you reached the Nightland, you had spoken to people who had oracular skills, people who knew the prophecies, who knew the legends, and a lot of that stuff suppressed. Anything that sort of hints at the future, anything that hints at the coming back of the gods, those documents are burnt, trashed, destroyed. But what you three have been able to piece together is that there are a set of tasks before you. Duties, tasks, legendary operations that you need to undertake in order to come fully into your divine birthright. They have a number of stages, and some of the books have hinted at them. And one thing that you've seen in your sermons, in the things, is a reference to something called a raver. It's sort of hinted at that this is the thing you're looking for. What a raver is it is the animated skin of a dead god. Essentially, when there is a god that has died, his corpse is decayed, and this energy fills it up and becomes a vessel for a thing of kind of pure evil. It's a dangerous, divine, mindless foe. And all of the signs and signals that you have seen point that this is what you three need to find and defeat. And to that end, you have arrived at Corso, and you are to meet with someone who says that they know where you may find one of these ravers to combat. And this kind of come through the chain, and you're there to meet them at a place known as the Fat Seraph. It is a tavern. And is it a nice tavern or a less nice tavern here in Corso? What do you think there, Stephen?
So I think this is actually it caters to the mid class, so it's a kind of a tier above. It's not trash where you would have swill on the floor. They try to keep the place nice, but it's certainly not a place where the upper class would come down and deign to be seen.
Okay, so you're not in amongst the sort of the flotsam and the jetsam, the dark, dank river of humanity down below. You're kind of up in the middle. It is a place you've been to before, though. When you arrive, you will note that there's maybe a pall over the place, a sense of the atmosphere being more dark, and you can certainly, the innkeep woman, you can see clearly things have started to take a toll on her, and emotionally she seems kind of barely holding it together. Chef, what is the sign or signal that your contact is to give you when they arrive?
They will stand up from their table and give a big exaggerated yawn and say, "My God, it sure is getting late," no matter what time we're meeting them. Yeah.
Fair enough. Delros, what is the signal that how is your contact to know the three of you? Is it obvious, or is there something that you have to present?
I think we just it's a response to the yawning. Like just walk up to him or something.
Okay. So not a particularly sophisticated code, but that's fine. I imagine that's pretty fair. So you're in this tavern. You're here for a while. There are some other customers. The innkeep woman, drops the drinks on the counter with a thud as she goes along here. And after a bit, you'll see this figure kind of come in, kind of pot-bellied. It got kind of pock marks and some scars on his skin. You can see that one of his eyes looks like it's gotten burnt at some point. Shuffles in and looks around, comes over to one of these empty tables and does the very exaggerated yawn with like no subtlety whatsoever. Oh, it's so great, isn't it great? Then looks.
I go with to where he is, I guess.
And he's seen a couple of the two smaller people, and then this. How tall are you? You're short, but you've got all the weaponry with you, so he is maybe taken a little aback as you approach, and he will say, "Hello."
Yes. Hi.
I thought there would be more of you.
There's more. I look to the other two.
All right, I will follow, and I will say, it's never too late for a new start, my friend.
Yes. He settles himself in at the chair there, and kind of gestures for you to sit down. Varus, what's your take on this?
So I think Varus is going to stay quiet, listen to what he has to say, step in if needed, not approach the table directly. I think this is kind of a subtle thing. So he gets up and heads in a different direction and ends up sitting at that table.
Oh, okay. And he will look at all of you and say, I understand that you are looking for some information.
Yes.
That's true.
Good. I have some information. And perhaps you'd play a hand of cards with me, one of you?
Cards.
I like cards. I like playing cards. It's one of my few pleasures in life. Play cards with me. If you do well, maybe I'll give you the information for free.
Okay.
Uh,
I guess I'll play cards with him.
Okay. I'll keep an eye on Varus since he'll likely be able to tell whether this guy is cheating or anything.
Okay. So he'll cut the cards, and he will put them out there, and he will play a hand of cards with you. And to do this, you are going to need to do a intellect test.
Oh God.
Okay.
Wow. All right.
The difficulty is 6.
Oh, okay.
So here's what happens. I say the difficulty is 6, and then you have the opportunity to reduce that either through skills or other things. At the end, whatever the difficulty level you get it to, like if I said difficulty 6, you'd be like, oh, that's easy.
No, it's not.
It's 18. So
it's 18.
So do you have anything you think that would
no,
help?
I don't.
All right. So let's have you roll. He wants to take the.
That's a 14.
14. So he'll win that first hand quite handily. He's like, oh, you don't seem like much of a card player.
No, I'm not.
Well, that's a best of 5. So I like cards.
Yes, you do.
So at this point, I'd like to point out a couple of things.
Yes.
Varys has the find the flaw ability.
Okay.
So if there's a weakness in something that he is doing, I would see that. And the other part is I have divine shifts in detecting lies and deception.
Oh, so do you want to try and apply those to? I mean, do you want to step in and do the cards, or do you think there's some way that you would signal Dalaris?
No, I don't think I would signal. I think I'd step in and I'd say, "Okay, my turn."
Oh, all right. But he was doing so well. All right, so difficulty is 6. I will say that you can shift it down 1 with your being able to see through.
Okay.
Or either to spot the weakness. So that'd be a 5. And I'd say your deception skill probably works there for another 2 shifts. So let's say difficulty 3 then.
Okay.
Does that seem fair?
Now,
you do have an option here too. We've already got it down to a 9. You could expend effort from your intellect pool, and for you, it would only cost 1 point rather than the 3 because you have an edge of 2. Reduces all those costs by 2.
Mm-hmm.
So you could get it down to a 6
if
you wanted. What do you want to do?
Do I have an edge of 1?
You have an edge of 2 with your intellect, right?
I'm sorry, I meant effort. So
you have an effort of 2. Everybody has an effort of 2. Sorry.
So I could apply it again.
Yes, you could.
Okay, and that would be how many points a total?
It'd actually only be 1 because the second application is actually cheaper.
Okay.
With an edge of 2, it's easy.
Okay.
So your difficulty is 1.
You can get to a 3.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think I'll do that.
Okay.
Because I roll really poorly.
All right, you need a 3. You need a 3 or better.
Okay. And I rolled a 17.
Okay.
Nice.
Very good.
He doesn't care for that.
I smile and I think I kind of lean back. And Chef, if you'd like to, I kind of look over at you to see if you want in on any of this.
No, I enjoy learning from the master.
Mm-hmm.
I know better than to play games of cards with Varys.
But it's a new thing. No. I mean, you can play him if you would like, and it's something new.
Well, that's true. It is a new thing. All right, I'll give it a shot.
Okay.
Let's see what we got. We're 1-1 right now.
So right now, difficulty is 6. Do you have any skills that apply to this?
Well, I've been watching my friends play this game with him.
Okay.
And you have a specialty in learning new things, so
Yeah,
that's what I'm hoping.
Yeah, I'll that specialty will reduce it by 2. So right now it's difficulty 4.
Okay. Let's see.
And then spend from your intellect pool.
Let's see, so if it's so right now I have to beat a 12, right?
Yes. 12 or better.
That's not bad.
Or spend 1 from your intellect pool to reduce it to
9.
9. And
then,
and then again to reduce it to 6.
Yeah, 6, and it would only cost you 1 point.
Yeah.
Okay, that seems worth it.
You got 23 points. You're losing money not spending it.
All right, yeah, that sounds good.
And Varys said only cost you 1.
Okay.
All right. So if you spend 1 Chef, then it'll be down to a 6.
Okay.
Let's have you roll.
12.
And after you win that, he again turns back and says, "Maybe it's your turn again, my warrior friend. Maybe you'd like to have another go."
Information or no?
win one more hand, and I'll give you the information you want for no cost.
I'll indulge, I guess, even though I'm terrible at this.
You could maybe you could use your intimidation. I mean, it's effective in poker and Magic the Gathering.
That's true.
Sure, I'll use my intimidation.
Okay. They're trying to make him scared. So that'll get it down to a 5 for you.
All right, that's 15.
Okay.
Reroll selected, and that's a 9. No.
Well, so there's only one more play then. We're tied 2 and 2 then. So maybe we should keep sticking with you. I mean, you're having. I mean, surely you want to win one, right?
Are you gonna give us the information or not? And I'm going to intimidate him without playing cards this time.
All right. Yeah. So he is not that high a level person. He's very good at cards, but not much else. So difficulty 3 before you do anything else to intimidate him.
Intimidation will be. I am trained in that, so that
It goes
is.
to a 2.
That's a 6. I have to beat a 6. That's fine.
Let's see.
I got a 7.
Oh, just edging that out. It's, he's like, look. It's all okay. You wanted to know about a raver, right?
Yeah.
So, here is what I know. I was traveling on a caravan heading to Hornscar, the usual route. When I passed through the village known as Dujar, old place, abandoned for some time. It's about a day and a half outside of Corso. And I could see the signs, the burnt places, the things knocked over, the scars on the earth itself that said that something powerful, old, potent, a raver is in the area. So go to Dujar, and there you will find this raver.
Cool. How much do we owe you?
And he asked for a chunk of your money.
How much?
20 stars, which is a goodly amount.
Okay.
So I think at this point, I think whenever he asks for money and she starts reaching for her purse, he starts reaching for his purse. I think that's whenever I'm going to lean over and I'm going to say, you don't need our money yet, sir. And I think that the three of us, I kind of motion the two of them to get up. I'm going to spend intellect points on erase memories.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
And erase the last 5 minutes of his memory.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. That power normally costs you 3. You have an intellect edge of 2, so it only costs you 1 point.
Right.
Yay.
Yeah. So basically, I think he kind of comes to as we walk out the door.
Well, you still have to roll.
Oh, okay.
Yep, there's still a check here.
Okay, and the difficulty level is?
The difficulty level is his level, which is a 3.
Okay.
And I'll say that your deception can apply to this.
Okay. So if it's 3, I am specialized in deception.
So it goes down to a 2.
No, 1 because it's
sorry, 1.
specialized.
Yep, that's right.
Yep. And I will spend a level of effort
to make it no roll.
To make it no roll.
No roll.
Nice.
No roll happens. So you get him zotched, and he's like shuffling his cards, and he kind of keeps shuffling his cards. And the three of you stand up to go. Sheth kind of stepping and turning. It's at this point that I am going to do a GM intrusion.
Yay. So it's experience 2, Chef.
So, Sheth, I'm going to give you an experience point.
Okay.
And of course, because I wasn't thinking, I didn't put a place for that on the sheet. So put that wherever you want.
Okay.
I'll be right back. I grab my own experience.
Oh, good. And then you get another experience point you can give to Varus or Dalaris.
All right, I'll give it to Varus.
Okay. As you stand up, and you guys kind of moving to kind of get yourself out the door. This guy's clearly forgotten that this whole card game, the money he wanted, all of that. You see a group of people come in the door, and they've got sort of bulky, etched armor on the shoulder pads, sort of the head things on, the sort of ornate sort of mid guards, and they have whips. And as they come in, you will see who the leader kind of raises up this document and holds it out in his hand. It kind of unrolls, and it's marked with red letters. You three can all see the kind of magical stuff that's part of the Nimbus. You'll see the Nimbus of draconic magic on it. It is an indulgence, and it essentially is an indulgence for these people to take slaves. And the leader of these 5 kind of goes, "The innkeep hasn't paid up her indulgence insurance. All right, all of you, you're going to the pits." And they begin to move to essentially start a fracas. And we're going to take our 5-minute break now.
Oh.
I did not find my XP, so I will keep looking, I guess.
Oh, you got those cards?
Yeah, I got the cards.
Okay.
I got the Numenera ones. So
we'll take 5 and we'll come back.
All right, sounds good.
I did not find those, unfortunately. You're muted.
Yeah, I've got a set of those down the basement, but so I don't. I got them just because I like they had the monster cards with them, and I love those little pictures.
Yes.
All right.
So, by the way, Chef Brian, I think you put XP under Varys's column, not under Chef's.
Oh, did I?
Yeah.
But Varys got an XP from that too, so it's all good.
Sorry about that.
All right. So the way that this works is when we go into a sequence, you essentially are going to make a speed test against PC's difficulty. If you beat them, you go first. If you don't, you go after the NPCs. So I'm going to, for sake of simplicity, we'll sort of aggregate the two NPCs' speed together. So right now, the difficulty is 3 for this speed test.
I have a danger sense, which reduces the difficulty of my initiative roll.
Mm-hmm.
And
by how much? 1 or
by
2?
1.
By 1. Okay, so you're at a 2.
And that's spending 1 point of speed, but because I have an edge of 1, I don't have to pay anything.
Perfect. Yep.
Okay.
That's exactly it.
All right.
So you need to roll a 6 or better.
All right. Reroll. That's a 10.
10. Okay, so you're going to go ahead, and then Varys, what about you?
So if I spend speed, I have no edge in speed. I would spend 3 points of speed.
Yes, you would.
No, I'm going to just chance that.
Okay. Yeah. Makes sense.
Keep in mind that those are also your HP pools.
Yeah.
So I rolled an 8.
Okay. So difficulty was a 3, so a 9. So you will go after the NPCs.
So you didn't spend the.
I did not spend.
Okay.
Did not spend it.
Okay.
Okay. And Sheth, what about you? Difficulty for you because you are not fast at reacting.
Yeah, I'm like, what do you guys look at all tense for? What's I mean, I'm perplexed as to your ready-looking nature.
So difficulty is 4.
So I get an inability on initiative actions.
Yeah, so it's 3 and it goes up by 1, so 4.
Wait, so everyone got XP or just Sheth?
Sheth got XP and he gave the other point to Varys.
All right.
So let's see. So right now I'm at about a 15, right?
No, 4 means 12.
Oh, 12. Okay.
Yeah, it started at 3 and it went up to 4. So 12 right now is what you need.
All right. So if I use my point of XP, can I do that in this situation?
Yeah, I think you can. Yeah.
All right.
If you want to spend it.
What does that do again?
Oh, let me check again what the XP spend does.
I think it's actually on your kick-ass handout. Let's see.
Yes. What is the thing for a spend on the XP and a session rewards?
So I think that you could spend 1 XP for a reroll.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right.
So you can roll your check, see if you get a 12 or better, and if you want to spend your XP after that,
I could reroll.
You reroll.
Okay.
You know, that ought to be on the cheat.
All right, here goes. Maybe a 20 would be nice.
No.
Ooh, 9. All right, I will spend that XP.
Let's see it.
Because I'm feeling lucky now. I'm aware of the situation. Come on. Oh, come on, really?
All right.
What did you roll?
2 9s in a row.
2 9s.
And then
All
we
right.
wonder why Steve wants to roll his own dice. Yeah.
Because this roller can be
Yeah.
not as bad as the Mutant Year Zero roller on Roll20,
Oh, yeah.
which, is punishing poor Frazier repeatedly. So, Valorous, you see there are 4 guards, these slaver guards. There's a guy who's holding this indulgence. He certainly looks like the leader. He looks tougher. You'd even say you can see the whip that he has is clearly got some magics to it.
I am going to go after the leader because I am anime and shit.
Okay. All right. So the leader, essentially, when you come rushing over, does have a shield, so he'll get that up. So right now, the difficulty to hit the leader is a 7.
Okay, that's reduced by 3 because I have the greatsword thing.
So it's a 4.
I will. Let me see. Anything else?
You're also trained with the greatsword. That goes down by even 1 more, actually. So you're at a 3.
All right, because I'm trained in greatsword. That's right.
Yeah.
So 3. I'm gonna spend 1 part of my might to reduce it by 2 more.
Okay. So it goes down to 2. So you need a 6 or better to hit this dude.
Wait. No. So it's 7 minus 3 minus 1 more because of the training in greatsword.
Yeah. So now you're so it's 7 minus 4. So you're at a 3. And
then minus 2 more because I have an edge of 2.
Okay. You're right. So all you need, I mean, there's almost no chance you could fail at this point. So you just need a 3 or better.
Yay. That's a 13.
So that will hit. And how much damage does that do?
Okay. I have thrust, so I can spend 1 might point, which is negated because of my edge.
Okay.
I inflict plus 9 damage from my greatsword, which is
so that's
already.
Yeah.
I don't know how much the greatsword does, but
it's already worked in there on your.
So it's 16 plus the thrust, I guess.
Okay.
And
so
unless it's already counted in, I'm not sure.
The thrust is not.
Okay.
So that's 17 points.
Wow.
Tell me what that looks like. You don't kill him.
All right.
But what does that look like?
1 swing.
1 swing. Just bring it, slash into him.
I cut the indulgence.
Cut the indulgence, cut through. Probably he loses some fingers as he's knocked back. He is bleeding. He is still up. The others, they can see that they would have been cut down, like nothing when that happened. So
their turn.
Their turn. All right. So you rushed from a group of people. So two of these mook slavers are going to move to engage your companions. 2 of them are going to slash at you. So 2 whip attacks from the mooks. Each of them has a difficulty of 5 to avoid.
All right. So I have a trained in might. Is it might or speed?
It'd be speed for this.
Okay, trained in speed defense, and then while my chosen weapon is in my hand or hands, I have trained in speed defense check. So does that mean I am specialized in this case?
No, that's already added in on the sheet for that.
Okay,
so it's just the 1.
In that case, then it's 4. Do I want to spend 3 points on speed? Yeah, that's probably a good idea.
Okay.
No, sorry. Yes, because my effort is 2. I can go up to 2.
Yep.
More. Okay. So I will spend 3 points in speed to reduce it to 2.
Okay. So the first guy is going to be a 2, and the other guy is going to be a 3.
Yes.
Okay. So let's roll the 2 first.
Well, one is going to be a 2, and then the other one is a 4, I guess.
Okay. Yeah, you're right. Thank you.
All right. That's a miss on their part.
Whiff with that one. And the second one?
It's going to be a 4.
Yep.
So 4 means 12.
12 or better.
And that's a 20.
20.
Oh boy.
I will say that when the second guy goes to hit you and you knock his blow back, he actually gets pushed back into the major slaver, the guy that you hit, and blocks him from attacking. So the big bad doesn't even get a shot this round because of that 20. Does that sound fair?
Yeah. Oh, because 20 is our
major effect.
Yes, that makes sense.
So knocks him back. But these other two slavers come and they are going to try and strike you, Sheth, with a whip, and you, Varus, with a whip. So let's start with you, Sheth. It is a difficulty 5 for your defend against this attack.
Difficulty 5. Okay. That's challenging. Can we use our powers at this point?
Most of them are actions things.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
And I've been using my powers just by the fact that I not murdered, but I did like +9 points of damage.
Yes.
So yeah, I think
he's more asking about whether he can use that as an action or out of action on that.
Oh,
yeah,
okay,
sure.
Okay.
Okay. So the only thing that I could really use at this point would be edges.
You could spend effort to reduce that. It would cost you 3 points per level to reduce that difficulty.
3 points of effort per level.
Yeah.
And we're talking might here, right? So
it'd be speed actually for defense.
Oh, speed's for defense. Yeah, I couldn't even do that. I only have two effort. All right, I think I'm going to give it a shot. I'm just going to go ahead and roll. So
okay.
I'm looking to try to 15 or better. Is that right?
Yeah, 15 or better to avoid those whip that cracks out at you.
Oh man. All right. Come on.
Look at that.
Yeah.
All right. So how is it that you're able to dodge that? Because you shouldn't be able to.
It's almost more a matter of just sort of luck. I'm kind of like trying to like take stock of my inventory and decide what I'm going to do. And while I'm like sort of moving around, the whips are flying in various directions. I'm barely missing, like poking out my eye. And I got lucky. Okay.
That sounds good to me. Get out, dodge out of the way of that. Varus. And the other one's going to take the whip shot at you. It is difficulty 5 right now.
Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to spend speed.
Okay.
Right, for 1 level, so it'd be difficulty 4.
Yep.
Can I use deception to feint?
Oh, I don't know. I think I would have you set that up as an active action rather than for the defense here.
Okay. So I will take that. So it's a difficulty 4, so I need a 12 or better.
12 or better.
Yep. And I got a 14.
Yes.
Nice.
So they come rushing over, thinking that this is going to be the easier target for them, rather than the brute with the massive sword that has sliced partially through to the collarbone of their leader. But they both whip cracks. Also, everybody else in the room drinking and stuff, they are all running for the hills at this point. Just to tell you what's going on. So let's come to Sheth. Sheth, this person with the whip tries to strike at you, misses. What do you do?
I am extremely angry about this. So
that seems fair.
I would like to hurl some flame at them.
Okay.
How does this work here?
So we take a look at your thing. So right now, they have a defense of 4.
Okay.
And you have 3 shifts to that hurl flame, which means it goes down to a difficulty of 1. So you need a 3 or better to hurl your flame at them.
I'll take it.
Okay.
You can also. Never mind.
Sorry.
I was gonna say you could have also taken a point in intellect to make it a non-roll, but too late.
Yes, you're right. I just thought, I was flush with victory from the avoiding of the whips, and I just thought that that number was low enough, but in fact, it was not. So the flame goes
wide.
Shoulder. Yeah, it goes wide.
That keeps happening
And a
to
1
me,
or a
goddamn.
2 is not a great thing. So this is a minor problem. So essentially, it goes off, and there, of course, this is a bar with alcohol, and so various people's drinks will light up that have been left on tables, but also probably curtains will ignite at that point. Varus.
Yeah, so I think what I'd like to do is I would like to lean over to our friend and tell him, the one who gave us the information.
Yeah, who's forgotten. He goes, "Oh, I have to give you some info."
Well, he doesn't. Yeah, I don't think he remembers this. I think I'm going to whisper in his ear, "The only way to get out is to fight through them, and they are weak. You can see how easily my friend there wounded them." So I'm encouraging him to try to fight them, and I'd like to use this as an asset for the other 2 people.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's fair.
How do assets work again?
So that'll assets will reduce difficulty by 1. Essentially, can pull that in. So yeah, I'd say he's level 3.
Okay, and I'm going to use my deception that I'm specialized in.
So it'll be a 1.
Yeah, and I'll just roll. No, I'm going to actually spend the point of intellect because I can't. Right? There's 2 on dice, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
And he'll leap to his feet, and he draws out from under his sort of paunch belly actually a couple of wicked blades. And he's like, "I don't want to get caught. I don't want to be a slave," and starts flailing wildly, essentially creating an issue for these slavers who want to get at you guys right now. So he leaps up, which brings us around to Dalaris.
Does that asset count towards the big guy?
Yes.
Does that mean that if I spend a point of effort, I get to not roll?
Yes.
Okay, I will do that and inflict another fucking 17 damage.
Okay. Once again, you bite through the armor, but this time it slices down through, and the guy's already kind of staggered back, and he tries to push himself up, but this time the hit just drives him to the ground.
Okay, does that mean I took him down? Because I get to spend 2 intellect points to make another attack towards someone else.
You may do so.
Nice.
Yes.
Okay, so the slaver's defense is a 4 rather than the 7 that
So
the slave master had.
-3 minus the one from greatsword training.
Oh yeah. You actually just
Or
hit
the asset, but
Yeah.
still.
so yes, that will kill a dude. Now this guy's just your standard mook. What does it look like? How do you? I mean, what happens to this guy? Because he is taken out with 1 chop from you.
Oh yeah, he gets sliced in half, like
Okay.
blood everywhere.
So we've got blood, we've got flame. It's an unpleasant situation right now. This.
What about the other 3 mooks?
So they believe that they're in a desperate fight for their lives. This slaver will cock back and try and hit you with the whip, maybe trying to get at the weapon. So it's a whip attack level 5.
5, and I get speed training.
Mm-hmm.
So that will be a
A 4.
4.
So 12 or
Which is
better.
12 or better. I will re-roll. That's a 3.
3. So he will actually hit you with the whip.
Okay.
And it does 6 points of damage
To might?
to might.
Okay.
How does the armor work?
It subtracts straight from it. So she only takes
Alright.
2.
All right. That's better.
Yeah, you
So I
got some
had
serious armor.
6. So that is 4.
Yeah. So
14.
hits you with this hard, and you probably don't even flinch, right?
Yeah, no.
Okay. And eyes go wide at that point.
Mhm.
Sheth, this guy with the whip is going to come at you again, especially now that he's seen you fire flame. The difficulty 5 to defend. You can use this informant as an asset if you want.
Oh, yes, please.
Okay.
Thank you, Varys.
So difficulty becomes a 4. So you need 12 or better to dodge this.
12 or better. 12.
12. You just get out of the way. I imagine that you probably throw the informant in front of you, and he takes the whip crack across the face. Ah, what the what? And cries out. The other guy, the other whip person is. You're not making an aggressive action, right, Varys? You haven't kind of engaged.
I haven't really engaged, no.
Okay, then what you'll see him do now that he's seen somebody let loose with fire, and seen the sort of the crazy divine sort of thing, he starts running past, and he is running to get through the bar and get out the back door so he can warn somebody about this.
Can I do something?
Yes. What do you want to do?
Yeah. So I think so I don't know if I can do this. Let's talk about a couple of things. I have the ability to perfect submission. So I know where to grab someone to apply pressure to get their attention undividedly. As long as I take no physical actions, they can take no physical actions. However, it says if they're attacked, the effect ends. So has this guy already been attacked? Would this stop him?
Let's see here.
I'm guessing
I think it means if you had a hold of him and he was attacked, he would break out of it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you could grab this guy if you wanted.
Right. So I think that's what I'm going to do.
Not your turn.
We just done them. So
so his turn was
it
moving.
is his turn.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah,
so I think that's what I'm going to do. And he's normal. He's my normal size. I can do bigger creatures with effort, but I think he's my normal size. So I think my intellect edge will take care of the cost for that. So I'll just grab him. So he pays attention to me and only me.
Okay. I think you still have to make a roll to have it go off.
Okay.
Difficulty will be a 3.
Okay. So I will spend to lower that difficulty.
Okay. And it'll be intellect.
Yes. So I think I spend 2 because I've already used my edge already
on
the cost of the power.
Oh, that's right. Yep.
Yeah.
Because that's not on the same action. Yeah.
So that makes it a difficulty 2.
Yep. So just need a 6 or better.
So I'll roll that, and I rolled a 17.
17.
All
so
right.
what does it look like? What do we see have happen there?
Yeah. So I think what we see is that I noticed as he was fighting, he was kind of favoring his left side, as if he had been wounded or he had strained himself in there. So whenever he goes to run towards the back door, that's whenever I reach over and I grab his actual side and I put my hand there with a sharp, intake of pain. And we just look at each other as he's like startled that that I've gotten in his way.
Yeah, he's not sure what to do. Kind of freezes up there, and he can't quite get his whip up, and he is held in place there. Sheth, you have the last action on this round. you've got a guy in your face who is, but you fired that flame off. It didn't hit him. You set the place ablaze. What do you want to do?
So quick question. That last attack that I did that cost me anything off my intellect? I'm sorry, off my attributes at all?
Let me take a look here. What is the cost? Let's see what it says for your.
Is it hurl flame? Is that?
Yeah, it's hurl flame.
Here it is.
I think your intellect edge gets.
Yeah.
Or no, your edge.
Yes. So it would cost 2 points normally, but it's an intellect power, and you have an intellect edge of 2, so it becomes a 0. It doesn't cost you anything to throw the power around.
Cool. Then I will fly my my freak halo of fire free, and I will fire again off another flaming bolt.
And all you need is a 3 or better.
This time, surely I will.
Yes.
I will roll good enough. 3. Piece of cake.
I mean, it hits, but.
So it is not the prettiest shot ever. It's more of a desperate cough up of flame that will catch him. And how much damage does that do?
Good question.
13.
13D it says, right? Is it 13 points of damage? Yeah.
Okay. So that immolates him.
Oh, yes.
And catches him. He probably breathes in some of that fire there that he kind of catches him, and probably the whip will ignite. The leather on that catches fire, and he collapses to the ground. And we cut back to the top of the round. Dalrus, you see this guy, he's hit you with the whip, and now he's realized this is not going to end well for him.
Yeah, considering that I have -3. Wait, he has a defense of how much? 4?
4.
-3, and then with the asset is 0.
Oh yeah. So
and then I spend 2, and I spend 2 my 2 strength, which 2 might points, which I don't need to spend to kill the one that Varys has a hold of.
Okay. So you cut this guy down.
And then rush towards the other one and murder that one.
Okay. Do you just run him through, or do you slash him down?
Run him through. Well, like you see the camera, like with them like gazing at each other, but then you see the blade coming from behind the other guy.
Varys, the whole time, this guy has eye contact with you as he sprouts this great sword out his stomach there, and then he'll drop. Meanwhile, the innkeep is screaming, and your informant is bleeding but running out that front door. The place is on fire.
We should go now.
Guys want to evacuate?
Yes.
Yeah.
So basically, if I'm not mistaken, everyone's run out. The Inquisitors, or the people who came in, are dead.
Yes.
There's us, our informant who ran out, and the bartender.
And the bartender, yes.
And the place is on fire.
And it's bad if people know that we have powers.
That's true.
So I'm going to pull the same trick that I did before, and the barkeep will forget what just happened.
Okay.
So that basically they think that the thugs came in, set fire to the place, there was a brawl and died or something like that. But it doesn't implicate us.
That doesn't seem like a thing we need to roll for.
Okay.
There'll be that thing where you do that. And what does that look like?
So in both cases, this is me walking up. So in this case, you recognize the same kind of reaching out and grabbing a hold of the hand in kind of a comforting way. And the person just kind of stops screaming and dazes out, and then is kind of, I guess a little stunned for a second. We can leave, and then they'll kind of shake themselves and be like, shit, the place is on fire.
Exactly. There'll be that as you guys get out the front door, oh my God, the bar's on fire. Where'd everybody go? And so you guys will rush out into the dark streets of Corso. Now, we've got a couple of choices here. You could, try to go to ground and maybe do some research, looking into things. Or you could just get out of town now and head for the place that we're told to go.
That is my vote.
I want to do resting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Resting is very easy right now. The first rest just takes a moment. So all of you can roll a d6 plus 2.
You lied. It's not only d20s.
Yeah, that's true. Oh my God. But I don't have to roll them, at least. I was right about that part.
Mine is plus 3. Is it plus 3 or is it plus 2?
Yeah, yours is plus 3.
Okay. And then I will add the modifier of 3 from it. That is 4.
Can we split this between 2 different pools?
Yes, you may.
And then another rest would require how much?
So the first recovery just takes an action. The second one just takes a matter of a few minutes.
Actually, I should.
All right.
So you could do another one if you wanted without wasting too much time.
All right, I will do so.
Okay.
And that is a 6, so that would bring me back to full.
Okay.
So I think during that second rest,
Varus
sits there and impatiently taps his foot.
There's that bit of you all catching breath. No one is really interested. I think actually, Delrus, you're the only person who took any kind of actual damage from an attack. So is it like a scratch across your cheek kind of thing?
Yes.
Okay.
I need to heal this scratch on my cheek.
Yes.
Okay, go on like this.
Little bandage. Okay.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to use mine at all because I'm only a point down, so I don't want to waste my my first fast. But I will tuck my my halo back in.
Okay. Draw that back. So you three will make your way through the darkened streets of Corso. It probably takes a good hour and a half to make it to the gate. Because there are certain streets you don't want to walk on at night around here, and kind of keep your eyes open, and eventually get to the gates. This is not a place that has a particular worry about security, so it's not like they shut the gates at night. In fact, there's probably more trafficking and illegal activities going on around the city gates than most other places at this time of night. And so if you want, you can hit the road right now.
Sure.
Yeah, sounds good.
And so you will set out. You know that it is about a day and a half travel to Dujar, and so that's about 50 miles is about what they suggest that is. And so you will set out. I think this is a good place for a montage here. Okay. So let me start with you, Stephen. Got about a day and a half travel. You know that there's an inn a little over halfway there. So if the three of you wanted to stay overnight, you could certainly stay there. But this is, a land that is blanketed in eternal night. There's all kinds of awfulness going on here. What's one challenge or obstacle that the three of you face on the first leg of this journey?
So I think that we know that it's not safe in this area. And as we travel, Varus actually stays off the road and travels through the shadow alongside the edge.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where he comes across someone who's ready to waylay travelers.
Okay. And Sheth, what is it that you do to help solve this problem of that essentially that Varus has kind of wandered and there's some of these bandits waiting to waylay you? It's purely a narrative thing.
Yeah, I think I distract them just long enough to be able to pull Varys up onto the highway. Just sort of just this never-ending stream of trivia information about the surrounding lands, what it used to be like, what it's like now, what used to live here, what lives here now. I mean, it's just like, oh, and there you are, Varys. Where did you go? Just like sort of grab him real fast and pull him up.
And that probably draws Dalrus over behind you, kind of still short but looming, and the bandits think better of coming after the three of you. So, Chef, what's the next obstacle or challenge on this journey?
Let's see. The next obstacle is maybe that there used to be a bridge, but that bridge has been partially destroyed.
That sounds good. Yeah, it's essentially natural, or does it look like somebody actually hacked it?
It looks like somebody wrecked it.
Okay. Yeah. So, Dalrus, how do you solve this problem? What's your contribution to get past this obstacle?
Find another way.
Okay, what is that way?
Side roads and through. Is this like a mountainous area? Because we
Sure.
might have to do some climbing.
Sounds good. Okay. Yeah. So, and is that something you're good at? Would you say?
I'm not training climbing, but sure.
Okay. You're pretty strong, so you certainly have that might pool to draw on. So you can kind of lead them essentially through some of these rocky hills and sort of broken mountains here. Again, the terrain very odd. It can go from flat to chunks of mountain that are getting dropped out of the sky here. So you can certainly find a pathway around.
Yeah.
What's the next challenge then that Dalrus, that you guys face before you reach the inn?
I think it's just the terror of like corpses, a lot of corpses.
All right. So you're traveling along. You've seen the tracks. Something clearly smashed that bridge, and now you will find it looks like maybe there was a caravan that was passing through.
Mm-hmm.
And there are bodies everywhere. And just, it's awful. And Varys, you are still kind of moving along the side here. I assume you like keeping the shadows, right?
Yes.
And you will realize, here's a GM intrusion, that you kind of started to walk over this short hill. You see that the caravanserai and the bodies, and they're looking around, moving through the corpses. It looks like the Star Wars, field of the Jawas and stuff, and they're moving through there, and you will realize that the small like rise that you're walking on is actually kind of moving gently up and down under your feet, and that you're on top of some giant beast.
Oof.
So, Varys, I'm going to give you an XP.
Okay.
And you may hand an XP off to someone else if you would like.
I'll hand that to Dolores.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah, you're on this monster's stomach. It's asleep. It clearly fed deeply on this caravan, but you're a little nervous about what's going to happen if you keep walking. What do you do?
I think I turn to Dolores and I say,
and imagine that He's on the road a little ways away.
Mhm.
So good 30 feet.
Okay. I think I turned to Dolores and, kind of raise my hand to make it very obvious that
Okay.
we are in danger. It's sort of the,
Yeah.
and then I walk gingerly up and I say, I explain what's going on to the other
All
two.
right. So I think that right now you're going to try and step off of this creature without waking it, right?
Oh, so the creature is where I am,
You
not
are.
where they are.
No, it's where you are. You have
I see.
walked onto it.
Okay, I see. I thought it was like the land.
Oh, no.
It's not.
You're actually you have walked on this small rise, and it's turned out to be this creature.
I see. So I think I'm still doing the same thing. I'm raising my hand, getting their attention, and then I'm going to gingerly try to walk off.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. I think that this is going to be a speed test.
Okay.
No.
Difficulty 5.
Okay.
It's
Do you have any assets or anything that would apply for this?
So I think I have I could use potentially trivia for the surrounding, fauna or something like that, but I think my best bet is probably deception.
Okay.
To deceive it into thinking that this is natural movement and not someone else moving. Yeah.
Okay. So that'll reduce it by 2. So your difficulty is a 3 right now.
Right. And I'm going to spend speed
Okay.
to reduce it to 2.
Difficulty is a 2 right now.
And I'll roll that. And I got an 18. Yay.
Okay.
nice. Hey.
Walk gently off of it. You hear the got scales. It's like a big lizard. Got kind of fur mane on it. Kind of yellowish. You kind of walk off. So Varus has made the signal, and then he's gently walked over to where the two of you are. Do you want to continue on?
Yes.
Or do you want to? Okay, you leave this sleeping beast lie.
Yes.
Yeah, we can't all be, Titan whisperers like Varys here.
Okay,
Tempted.
So you will move on, and
Actually,
yes,
I think as I come in closer to the group, you see this bead of sweat kind of on my brow, but that's really about it. Otherwise, he's just as grumpy as normal. But there's this bead of sweat.
we know it was stressful.
So we'll press on. It is after dusk, of course, and it or maybe another hour will bring you to the Dove Inn. Essentially, simple inn. You can see it for a while. It has these paper lanterns, yellow lanterns outside, marking it. So you have a choice here. You could certainly stop here and rest for the evening, or you could camp elsewhere. What would be your preference?
We can spend money at the inn, I guess.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, once we kill this raver, we're going to be extremely powerful people. So we should treat ourselves, I think.
So three of you will walk into this inn. It's evening, relatively unpopulated. You see that there are a group of travelers, rough-looking gentlemen over at one table. Maybe it looks like one or two locals at the smaller tables, and come in. The bell on the door rings, and it's a few minutes before the proprietor comes. And salt and pepper hair, older gentleman, got a bag. Oh, gentlemen. So I'm so sorry. My wife is ill. I apologize. So I had to see to her. 1 room, 2 rooms, 3 rooms.
1 is fine.
Yes. If you wish, I have some stew still on the table, ready. If you would care for some hot food.
Great. Yes, sure. Sign me up.
Anything for beverage? We have cha. We have water from the well, or we have beer. The beer's the cleanest.
Yeah, I'll get the beer.
Okay.
Beer.
I think I drink my own.
And he'll bring over these worn flagons of ale and this beef and barley stew. It's one of those things that's clearly been heated and reheated and added to. This stew has probably been cooking for the last 6 months. Getting cycled.
Yeah.
And he'll drop that and a loaf of bread there at the table, and he will come back and he'll say, "Is there anything else you need? I need to see to my wife."
Before we answer, I just want to look at Varys. Do you think this guy is telling the truth about his wife, or is he nervous about something else?
Right. So is this guy hiding anything from us?
You have +3 shifts to see through see through deception. He is not lying.
Okay.
He is clearly visibly upset. In the sense his wife is probably quite ill. Given that this is his business, he ought to be out here. And he kind of here's the key to the room. It's the one at the top of the stairs. Is there anything else?
I guess not.
I wish you well then. And he goes back into the back room.
We don't have anything that could help her, do we? I could change the nature of her energy, but I don't think he would appreciate that.
We potentially have ciphers that might be able to, if we have a healing cipher or something like that.
Let's see, we've got meditation aid. Let me see what that does.
Yeah, that might be a thing. That might be.
Another option might be to make an intellect test, because you know a lot of things, Sheth.
True.
To see if you can't help bind her up or something like that, depending on what the level of her sickness is.
So the meditation aid will restore 6 points to your intellect pool when you use it up.
Oh, okay. That's pretty specific.
Yeah. But you could try if you wanted to offer. See if you do any healing.
Yeah. I mean, why not? Hopefully she doesn't have Ebola or something, but I'm pretty hardy. So,
okay.
After I eat, I will seek out the direction that the innkeeper went and knock on the door and say, perhaps I could be of assistance.
Are you a healer?
Well, I'm a seeker of knowledge, and I've come across many things on my travels.
Well, we've sent for the doctor, but it's calving season, so he's out at the farms. And he'll take you to a back room here, and you see his wife is there. She's kind of shivering. She looks ashen, and pretty easily you can tell that she's gotten bitten by an insect or something. Ooh. And that sickened her.
Okay. Yeah, I'd like to see if I can think of any particular local herbs that might help her out, or any kind of draining that should happen, or.
I'd say that this is going to be a difficulty 4 task to do this.
Okay. Let's see here. Could I use my learning new things aspect in here?
Interesting. I gave you a pretty open version on that before. I don't think so because you don't have anything to reference. If you had something to reference,
yeah, makes sense.
I would give you that.
What about geography and history tasks? Have I heard of other people being attacked by this particular insect in the past?
I'll give you a 1 shift for that.
All right.
Difficulty 3.
3. Okay. And then, so if I wanted to also put a point of intellect on that, my edge is 2. So for 1 point.
For 1 point, and since the second level only costs 2, you can mark that off. So just 1 point will reduce it down to you need a 3 or better.
Okay, let's give that a shot. See if it works.
Yeah, all you need is a 3 or better to do this.
All right. You know what? Let's. I'm going to delete this non-existent virtual die, and
Fair
I'm going
enough.
to create a new one, a new instance, and come on.
6 is better than a 3.
So while you won't like get her up right away or anything, you'll clearly be able to find some herbs and recall probably at length some of the things you've heard about the bugs in this area, and you will give him something. As much as anything, having some treatment seems to help ease his mind and maybe hers as well.
All right, good.
And he will thank you. Your breakfast in the morning is on me.
Oh, fantastic. Excellent. Yeah, I'll take the opportunity to tell them about the great hero, can't think of a name, who was bitten by the same insect and was able to survive by, finding these herbs. So,
all right.
Cool.
That sounds great to me. And you can return back to the group. I'm going to give my last intrusion for the evening here.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is going to be to you, Dalrus.
Okay, I will, I guess, give my experience, the second experience to Chef.
Okay.
So we can all have well, he already spent 1, but that way we go around.
Cool, thanks.
So you've got this nice sword, which to them looks almost absurd, but you've got these other nice pieces. And so there is this moment, sort of, those 5 at the table have been sitting and talking, and then a couple of them get up and kind of move to kind of head upstairs. And they kind of do that shift in position like they're maneuvering themselves. And you will see them kind of, blades are, quietly, the straps are removed from them. Looks like to your eye that maybe the 2 guys that have gone to the stairs may be going to try and jump Sheth when he comes back, as he's doing right now. And it looks like they've decided there are 5 of them, and there are 2 of you plus a sickly guy, Varys, who looks very ill. I'm correct on that, Varys, right?
I do look ill. I'm kind of hidden a little bit. Yes.
Yeah. So they're like, our odds are good.
I am going to walk up to whoever looks like the leader and say, get your people back over here.
Oh, so
intimidate them.
Okay, get up right into this guy's face. He's got 5 people here.
Yeah.
There's just 2 of you.
Yes.
He's a brigand, so I think difficulty 5.
And then my intimidation lowers it to a 4.
Yep.
And then I will see if I can roll this. And
can I assist?
Oh,
before you roll?
I already rolled.
Oh,
okay.
That's a 9.
That's a 9. So that was a 5, and you did intimidation to take it to a 4, so that's a 12, right?
Yeah, no. I did not intimidate them.
So he looks at you, and he goes to draw.
Okay, I am going to initiative, I guess.
Okay. So everybody should go to initiative really quick. Difficulty is going to be a 3.
I have initiative training,
Okay.
and that is a 7, so I go after.
After.
No, I go before because it lowers to a 2.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
What about you, Varus?
No.
No. And what about you, Sheth?
So for me, it's a 4. Let's see how that goes.
That's another 6.
6. So no. Yeah.
Okay. So they kind of go, and you can tell that they want to take you down. They're not so much worried about Varus, and Sheth is still moving to come out, so they're just kind of holding position over there. What do you do, Dalrus?
Is there some sort of like non-lethal damage, or is it just lethal?
I would say if you're using your greatsword, it would be lethal, but you could
punch people.
That's a good question. Yeah, you know what? You're divine. You're trained divinely with this sword. So as long as you don't do your thrust,
okay,
I will say that you could make that non-lethal.
Which is fine because my thrust is just 1 might point that I don't even need to spend.
Right.
And even then, it's like, okay, cool. So
difficulty 5.
5 minus my 4 because of the great sword, trained and divine.
Okay.
And then I'll spend a point of might, sure.
So they're kind of staying there, these brigands. The boss guy is kind of in front of you. The other ones are aside. What happens? I mean, before they can act, what do you do?
I draw my blade and then smack him with the hilt of it.
Okay.
And
so there's probably that crack as it comes out, and you bring that blade right down, and his nose, you can hear the crack as it gives, and the blood comes out, and he staggers back and probably hits the door and slides down. These other 2 brigands that are close by you are going to go for a desperate stab at you.
Is he taken down because I can spend or not spend 2 points?
He is taken down. You could take another one of these guys out if you wanted to.
I will.
Okay.
I will do that.
All right. So it's just a 3. So it's a 5. So it goes down to a 1. Do you want to spend an
extra might? Sure.
Okay. And how do you don't? I assume you don't use the hilt again. What's the non-lethal way you use to take this next one out?
Just the side of the blade.
Okay, just a swing, smack.
Yes.
I assume there's the sound of a jawbone cracking, and he'll collapse to the ground. The third guy's going to try and stab you. They're going for the sneak attack. The last guy's going to try and get up behind you.
All right.
So difficulty 5.
Might or defense or speed.
Speed.
Okay, that's trained, so that's 4. And yes, I will try to roll better than a 12. I do.
Okay.
Nice.
So you kind of probably smack it away before he can act there. Varus, what do you want to do? There's one guy left out here, and there's 2 guys that out of the corner of your eyes. He probably went to ambush your buddy.
They actually left the room.
Essentially, what they've done is they've moved back to the back part of the room and kind of gone into the stairwell, so that when Sheth comes by, they can get him.
So I think I'm just going to calmly walk past the fight towards the back room.
Okay.
And the 2 that are back there, I'm going to use my terrifying presence power. And the way that this looks is I step back and I'm going to notice details about them, and start just talking to them calmly about, don't you think that your mother and sister will miss you, and give their names and say, you aren't long for this world if you continue on this course of action. Just very, very calmly telling them how they will die.
Oh, delightful. Difficulty is going to be I'll say 4 will get both of them.
Okay.
Okay.
So 4, I have to spend a level of effort in order to get that level. So I think that's going to be, so that would be 3 intellect points to spend. I would like to use finding or noticing details as an asset.
That sounds good.
Intimidation.
Intimidation as an asset. I don't think I'm deceiving anything. But I will I'll spend a level of effort, which I think is now, I think my total intellect now would be 4 cost. Yeah. And I have to roll a 3 or better.
That's right.
Try and roll that. And I rolled an 18. Yay.
Okay.
Nice.
So there's that thing where they're standing there, and they've actually got crossbows. They've pulled crossbows out, and you kind of step in the way. And I imagine that the stairwell that they're in kind of darkens even a little bit there, and dims, and all they see is your eyes, and they focus in on your face, and they can hear the sounds of violence, and they back terrified up the stairs, and you hear them kind of clearly running to maybe make their way out an upstairs window.
Good.
Chef, you come out. You see that Varus is standing at the bottom of the stairs, and you can see that Delros has just beaten up a couple people, and there's a third person trying to stab him.
So one of these guys is still motivated and trying to attack, huh?
Yeah, he already attacked, and now he's regretting his life decisions.
Could I do the Can I do some kind of offensive far step? Can I use that in an offensive way so as to land atop this person?
That sounds interesting. Essentially, to kind of make it difficult for him to attack, to kind of render him.
And if I can knock him unconscious, even or at least down.
Okay. So let's do that. It'll be difficulty 3. We'll let the far step be an asset.
Okay.
So a difficulty 2 for your attack then.
All right. And I will use 2 intellect points to make it automatic.
Okay. And so you will crack him. Standard hand-to-hand, I think, is a light weapon, so I think it's 2 damage.
You only need to use 1 point because effort makes it cost less, and the second one costs 1 less.
Oh, right. That's right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, I was already on to damage. Okay, but I see what you're doing there. So yeah, you will hit this guy and kind of knock him back. Dalaris, this last guy looks like he is going to run. The other 2 are kind of scrambling to try and get out of here. You could let this guy go, or you could show him some error of his ways.
I will let him go.
Okay. Kind of pull back mercifully.
Yes.
And I think as they pull back, Varus walks into the room very calmly and says, "Tell your friends not to come back here, or death awaits them."
Yeah. Still that lingering haze of fear that will come, and they will gather themselves and rush out into the night. They haven't seen anything divine. They've just seen a scary magic guy. So they will head out. The innkeep will come out, kind of says, kind of looks, sees some chairs and tables knocked over.
They were going to jump us. Maybe you. I don't know. They're run away.
Varus turns to him and says, "You're better off without their money."
Oh, yes. Fair enough. Your friend assisted my wife. No problem. Pretzels. I have some pretzels.
Great. Yeah.
And you guys can rest here for the night. and in the morning, he will serve you up gruel. It's probably from a pot that's right next to the stew. And it also is Ancient of Days. A little bit added to it, a little more broth. Maybe get some of the bits that have crusted at the bottom, and making a little bit of texture to your meal.
Yeah, nice.
I
But
think
that
Varys actually sleeps the night like on the roof or on the eave or something, not in the room.
okay.
That's excellent.
And he'll offer you goat's milk and all of that, and he will say, where are you bound?
That is our business.
Fair enough. Apologies.
And I don't want to step on anyone's toes. You guys can talk to him all you want to. I'm just role playing my social interaction and ability. I'm just sour. Yeah.
I tell him the location. I don't tell him we're going to fight a river or river, whatever it's called.
Oh, it's just Dejar. There's nothing there but ruins.
We're just sightseeing.
Yeah, I'll do a little. It's actually a very interesting place. So those ruins are well over blah 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 blah. And yeah.
All right. Well, I wish you well on your travels.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. This is great. We got this nice little inn here nearby.
And you can get yourself set and head out in the morning on the road to Jujar. And if this would be the end of the episode thing, we would show you as the dawning light, another few hours walking through that. And then just as it's kind of getting to midday, and Lowell realizes that there is no day because it's all under night.
That's
right. Essentially, I want you to imagine what that's like, is that there is a moon, a big moon in the sky, and it just moves and follows where the sun is. So there's probably a corona of light around it, like an eclipse.
A constant eclipse, yeah.
Constant eclipse, and that's what you see during the day, is that just that sort of circle corona of light.
I imagine that because of the crops, there would be some kind of magical lanterns that would rise with dawn kind of thing. So we see these weird dim lights out in the fields.
Oh yeah, where you get up. Yeah, where you get up onto like a rise, you can see the lights and illuminations that mark out those places in the distance. They will become more and more sparse the closest you get to Dejar. This is clearly an area that is not occupied. But our last shot probably is of these ruins, and you see what looks like the ruins of a temple. And that is the place up ahead, and that is where we're going to take up next week, if that's okay.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay. We'll do Roses and Thorns at the end of session 2. Okay. But I think it's a good place to stop.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So two things to notice. So I forgot to put that XP can be used for reroll. That was a really good catch. And I should have put on there that the second level of spend is 1 reduced. It's a weird asymmetrical rule that I should have had put on the sheet. So I'll get that fixed for next time. Anybody have any questions about the mechanics or anything?
I have a question.
Yeah.
So if you spend for a level of effort, so let's take, for example, I use intellect. I want to make sure I have these numbers right.
Okay.
If I spend for a level of effort with intellect, I have an edge of 2, so I spend 1 point.
Yes.
The second time I spend for a second level of effort, my edge can't apply to that, so I spend.
Oh, you're
2
right.
points, right? So it'd be a total of 3.
That's right. You can only apply your edge
once
to any particular action.
Yeah.
And we did that wrong. Okay.
Yeah, that's a good catch, Stephen.
I don't think it would make any difference because everybody had plenty of points and all of that kind of stuff. But yeah.
Yeah, no, that's very good. Because of course I hadn't written down the thing about that, so I had some adjustments to make to the cheat sheet. I'm still getting still getting used to it. I'm still getting used to the rules here.
So I played this a few times in person, This is the first time I played it online. In person, I saw someone who did a great thing, sort of like a little cheat sheet. What they did is they had like little plastic cups that they set 3 of them in front of each person, and then put chits in front of them, like little poker chips of 3 different colors to represent their pool.
Oh, neat.
So the person would just pull that out, and the GM had a constant visual reminder of how much pool everyone had. And it kind of helped with that adding and feeling like this is what I'm losing and all of that. You can't really do that online, but I thought that was a great cheat sheet that I used later for, oh, hey, I can use poker chips for this.
Yeah, that's smart. That's smart.
Yeah. I've only played, or actually, no, I've tried running it, but I'm terrible at fake compels and GM intrusions, so I gave up on it.
Yeah, the intrusions aren't. I was worried about that. We'll see how they go next time. Where these are just more to have things happen. I'm trying to think of them as hard or soft moves, and just doing it that way. We will see.
So the thing I ran into whenever I was seeing it, there's so many moving parts. It's a really simple system, but there's a lot of moving parts to it.
True.
And I would forget about things like, so I don't know about Gods of the Fall. But in Numenera, you're supposed to constantly be finding ciphers. So you're supposed to use them very frequently and get them back very frequently. And that's one of the points of the whole system. But I would forget I would forget to give them out and stuff like that. Yeah.
Same.
Yeah. I don't think that the cipher cycle is as prevalent in Gods of the Fall, though the adventure does have some to be found. It's going to be interesting when I sit down to look through Predation, the dinosaur one, the time traveling dinosaur post apocalyptic one. Unmasked certainly has a lot of stuff for ciphers, because people are finding ordinary objects.
So I haven't played any of these 3 that you're running this month. I talked to someone who had played in Predation before, and he said the coolest thing he really liked about it was that everyone had a pet dinosaur or something like that. And the person to the right, or, a person next to them role played that pet. And
That's amazing.
Is that in the rules?
Yeah, that is in the rules. Yeah.
Okay, great. Because the person I talked to wasn't sure if the GM just made that up or what.
I'm pretty sure it is that way. I definitely know everybody has a pet dinosaur, and I thought that there was something about another person running it. Well,
that's great.
Yeah, it's a neat idea.
Live play with beer, that would be amazing.
Yes.
The other question I had was really for long-term system stuff. I had a friend who played in a Numenera game for like a year or so. And I heard on a podcast, they were talking about the Cypher system, the Numenera system. And you can spend your XP for rerolls and for temporary skills and stuff like that. Yeah. Or you can spend your XP towards leveling up. And the point was that the concept was that was supposed to be balanced. If you had a character who always spent their XP for rerolls or for temporary skills, for temporary asset kind of stuff, then they were succeeding more often, but the other character who only spent it for leveling would level, so they would get better. So on average, those 2 characters would kind of balance out. So when I asked my buddy who had played forever, I was like, how did that work? And he was like, you are crazy. We all just spent it to level up. And I was like, oh, okay. Yeah.
I read the same thing, or a similar article before we played today. So I was like, I'm using my XP like immediately. Like,
yeah. Sherry played in a Numenera game, and it was a game where the GM kept hitting them really hard, and she ended up. I mean, they couldn't get ahead of the curve. They ended up having to spend their XP just to survive a lot of the time.
Wow.
And so they couldn't advance, and she found that frustrating. So the XP as currency thing is in a couple of different games, and I'm never sure. We won't really see that in the short term, but I'll be very curious about how it would work and feel in the longer term.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting idea. I like having the option. I'll have to learn more about these temporary skill things. I did read about that, but I didn't understand how that worked.
Then there's difficulty 7 through 10.
Yes. Well, you're all gods, so you got the shifts. It's all good. I have no worry about that. Having run Godbound, I have no mercy on divine figures. I'll crush them because they get out of everything that I throw at them. So,
have you ever played or run Scion?
I have. I ran
Godbound Scion. I was in there.
I ran Godbound Scion, and then I actually ran a Scion hero campaign for, gosh, it must have been 12.5 sessions. And that was a game that, okay, this is interesting. Okay, I see. I like that. Oh my God, the power curve. Where it got really unmanageable. Have you played it?
I have. I played it a couple of times at a con over in Houston, and one was very good, and one was the intro scenario, so it was kind of canned.
Yeah.
But I played it a year or two ago at Gen Con with a guy who had written up a fascinating scenario for it. We all played the Scions of Corporations.
Oh.
And so it was like you had the it was all full of puns too. So I think that we had the offspring, the Scion of Microsoft, who was a lumberjack, and we had the Scion of Apple, who was a diva, and we had the Scion. I mean, all sorts of crazy things.
Nice.
And then the scenario was it was the Herculean efforts. It was the Trials of Hercules. Only he had adapted them to modern life, and it was a contest to see who could get the most of the Herculean efforts done.
Oh, nice.
Oh,
And it was great. So
that's great.
Sounds amazing.
Yeah, I love the idea of Scion. I back the Kickstarter for the new version, but the system I know is not going to be to my taste so much. So, but I love that idea. I think that's so awesome.
I actually reran that scenario for some friends.
Oh, really?
Use your fate conversion.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, to make it a lot easier. Yeah, it was like fate. I know.
Yeah. Cool. I will say that I ran that Fate Scion thing, and I really dug it. But it was the system that the sessions that the made the group go, we hate these dice. Hate Fate dice. So, all right, I am going to stop the broadcast since we babbled a little bit here, and do that.